Hello, everyone. We are working on chapter 5.3 on advanced vector operations. We are on the second part where we are creating a categorical map. So we learned how to create a choropleth map where we can use the paint function to style a vector layer, a feature collection using the values from a property. Now we'll learn how to create a categorical map like this. You can see this is a roads layer over San Francisco. We have styled roads in 3 different colors. You have the local roads in yellow, some major roads in green, and the interstate roads in blue. So if you wanted to create a map like this, how do we style this layer using this? Here, the data that we'll be using has a particular property called MTFCC, which has the road categories. And these are the road category codes provided saying what is the class of the road. Is it a major road, a local road, etc. And we'll use this information to create a categorical map. And we'll be using this function called style, which is a very powerful function to allow you to create different styles for your data sets. So here's what the different codes that look like. This comes from the Tiger documentation. You have codes like S1100. This is primary road, secondary road, and so on. So we'll take this table and we want to apply different styles to different categories of road. This is what we want to do. If the road is category S1100, we'll apply a blue color with line width 3. So a thick blue line. If it's 1200, we'll apply a slightly thinner green line. S1400, we'll apply an orange line with 1 line width. And every other roads will apply a gray color. And that'll be 1. So this is how we want to categorize this data and then apply that style on this data. So let's just go back to our script and we'll continue with our data. So I'm going to keep this data here. I'm going to comment it out, control space to bulk comment, and we'll continue with our data. So we'll first take our roads data and we'll filter it to San Francisco boundary. We applied the same bounds filter, and then we just applied, we're going to visualize it in single color. So if you're just using the map.add layer function, the only option we have is to style that using a single color. So we now style this using this blue color. We've learned about the paint function. One function that we can also use is this draw function for vector data. So let's see if we want to just do a little bit more styling to this, we can use the draw function. So we're going to create this variable SF roads draw, and we'll take the SF roads and call the draw function. And this has got these different parameters. Say we want to style the blue color, but now we have this one more option called stroke width. But the map.add layer by default creates a map of a line layer with a stroke width of 2. So this is render them in a slightly thinner line style. This is the only option we have with the draw function. So this is one more level up from the basic map.add layer. We'll see what it does. So we'll say map.add layer, we'll add this SF roads draw. And the draw function also creates an image. So we'll just show the image. We don't need to give any visualization parameters. And we'll just say this is roads draw. I'm going to make this also disabled by default. So this will draw the same roads layer, the feature collection in blue, but you'll see this is a slightly thinner blue line compared to the previous one. And so this is sometimes useful if you just have some lines and you want to draw them using a single color, but not want more control over the line size, you can do this. You can see that compared to the default was much thicker. This is much thinner. So you could control that using this. But now we want to create this categorized layer, right? So we had this category that I want to take this values of this property called MTFCC and change this with different values. So let me just print one road here. So I'll take the SF roads layer, print the first feature just to see what that feature looks like. So you can see this is the feature. There are different properties. The main property of interest is this MTFCC, which is the road category, and this is S1400. So what we want to do is we want to use the style function. The style function works by where you can create a new property containing all the parameters that you need for styling the data. So we'll add a new property to this feature. called style or whatever you want to call it, which contains all the styling parameters that we want. Yeah. So again, to do this, we need to map a function to do this. So let's map a function. We'll say SF roads. Take the SF roads layer, map a function. Each time a function is run, it's going to get one feature, and you're going to do something with that feature. So we'll take the class code. We'll say f.get empty FCC. Right? So you'll now have a variable for class code, which contains this value of this. And based on what's the value, we want to assign different parameters. So you can see if it was S1400, we want color orange, line width 1. So I can create a dictionary, which allows me to easily select that color. So I'm going to put a dictionary like this here, where it says, if the value is S1400, my color will be orange, width will be 1. So we'll just create a dictionary with all the parameters that we need. And this also kind of allows a good tip on how to think in Earth Engine map reduce style. Normally, when you're programming in Python or anything, you'll go and write an if-else statement here. Right? You'll say, if value is S1400, do this. In Earth Engine, you need to think in terms of, you can use dictionaries and you can say, I have a value. How can I map a function that will get me the right value based on the current property? So a dictionary is a good option for that. So we can just say the style that we want is, take the styles dictionary, get the value from the class code, right? So we saw that this value would be S1400. And when we say get this value from here, it says I have 3 keys here. It's going to be S1400. So the style will contain this dictionary now. Okay? So you are now replaced your 3 if statements with a dictionary where you can get the code. But we'll still have a problem. You can see that there are many, many road categories. Just switch here. You can see there are many, many values of road categories. And our goal is we have these 3 main categories where we'll style. Everything here has to be gray. So how do we code that up? Again, this will be normally if your program before, you would think of if and else statement, but there's an Earth Engine provides you with ways to do this in a more functional style. So let's look at the docs under e.dictionary. You can see there's this get function. So that's what we use. If you say get a key from a dictionary, you can specify a key. But then there's a second parameter that if the key does not exist, if your dictionary doesn't have the key, you can return a default value. Right? So this is crucial for us. We'll say if the key is one of these 3 values, return the appropriate dictionary. If not, we'll just create a default dictionary that you can return. So I'm going to create one more dictionary which says default is line width 1 and color gray. That's what we want. So we'll say get class code. And if the class code doesn't exist as a key in my dictionary, just return the default style. So now you'll get a style value for every feature in your collection. Now we have the style. The style is a dictionary, and we'll return this, we'll set this as our style. So we're going to print the SF roads first feature from it again, just to see how did we do with our map function. You can see we had 4 properties. We mapped a function that should add a style property. So we have this. You can see there's a new style property, which contains a dictionary containing all the styling parameters that we need for a style function. And now we have a feature collection like this. We can now apply the style. So we can say SF roads styled, take our SF roads and call style. So this is a function, and it says apply the style. The style has many, many parameters. We can specify them. So if you specify a color or a point size, they'll be applied on each feature. So each feature will be styled with the same color. But we say we don't want the same color. We have created a style property in our collection, and we want you to take the parameters from this property for each feature. So let's say my style property is style. And now it'll style each line according to the value contained in the style property of that line. And now we'll just add this to the map. So SF road style, we'll clip it to geometry. Okay, this is already styled. And before I run this, I'm going to disable loading this as well. So essentially, we just did this, right? This is what allowed us to set a property for each feature where style function says, I'm going to take each feature and the property will tell me how to style it. So now you can see this nice map of San Francisco where the streets are yellow, all the local streets, the green ones are the secondary streets, the primary ones are in blue, and all the other ones which doesn't fall into any of those will be styled as a gray color. Okay, so we created this map using this one. And now you should have reached the checkpoint F53A in your code repository. This will contain the full script with the first and the second examples. We'll move on, and now in the next section, we'll learn about how to analyze vector data and do joins.